you and I have talked about this like at Team Run Run conversations and stuff about how like trail running broadly, let's say, is really good marathon training, right? And so what have you kind of added into that? Like what's some of the, let's say, specific stuff you've done for this one?
Yeah, I mean, I would say road running can be really good for trail running, and you can get a lot of good like. I mean, I think trail running they're beneficial to each other. When
Sure.
you race or run on trails a lot, there are just a few things I think that you really need to focus on. Like one is just like spending time on trail and even getting like some technical trail and rocks and roots and just getting your lower legs accustomed to doing it, and even like developing the proprioception to be like quick on your feet and not trip over stuff. Like that takes practice. It's a skill. It's not a like building your aerobic system, right? It is a skill that you just have to practice. So there's just trail time, but then I think the most specific thing, and I think that people sort of flip this and look at it like not optimally, is focus on downhill running on trails. Like unless you're running flat bike path, gravel bike path trail races, like you need to get good at downhill running.
Yeah.
The muscle damage that you deal with, and even just the trail skill of getting your body accustomed to moving fast on downhill is the biggest game changer, especially if you're either competitive in a race or you're like pushing up against time cutoffs in ultras.
Yeah.
Like if you are fast and efficient on downhill, you are gonna do really well. Like people, and when I say people's focus is often flipped, is a lot of people who get into mountain racing think they need to work on uphill, but uphill is more of a. I mean, there are some muscular adaptations that you need, but that's largely a component of your aerobic fitness. Whereas downhill running is very skill based and takes practice. So, like, I mean, with runners I coach, I have a lot of people doing downhill repeats where I want them to push their limits on how fast they can go and get comfortable with going downhill fast. Even in my own development as a trail runner, in the last couple of years, I've finally kind of broken through some really like mental barriers of like being able to go faster. And it's a huge component to being competitive in an ultra race. If you can move fast and downhills, that's where it's at.
Yeah, it is interesting. I hear that all the time, like whether it's road running or trail running, it's like I got to get better at uphills, right? And I get that, but I think you're actually limited. Like you can literally only go so fast up and uphill. Now, obviously, you could argue you can only go so fast down a downhill, but I think you're right. There's way more to gain by going fast down a hill relative than there is to going up the hill. Like unless you're Killian, just friggin' mountain goating it up everything, right?
Yeah,
But,
I mean, if you can run, like, I mean, there's stuff that even Killian is walking, right? And so maybe his walking speed is a little faster than your walking speed or my walking speed, but the differential is not that big. Whereas like Killian and the pros can fly down the mountain, whereas like most runners are sort of like cautiously picking their way down, and the time gap that people make on those downhills is massive.
And so what kind of stuff, you said you're having your athletes do it. What's kind of the like base prescription, or how do you build that up with the downhill running?
I mean, we do downhill repeats where like maybe I start out with like 5 by 2 minutes fast on a downhill and a non-technical downhill. Just like
a road downhill, like an
not a
overpass
road. I do
something
want to
like
on
that.
trail. Like there is more
Trail,
injury
okay.
risk with downhill running because of the impact force.
Yeah.
It's significantly
Yeah.
higher. So you have to like be mindful about how you fit that into the training cycle. And like I would prefer dirt, but like smooth, like not technical trail. And so maybe you're only getting like say like 4 to 5 reps, 2 minutes at a time. You're getting 8 to 10 minutes of hard downhill running. Most runners, the first time they do that workout, 2 days later, they have sore quads. Like they are beat up from that. And it's great. Like they're going to adapt quickly, but they will know, like you'll be like, oh, it's a good thing I did that because that destroyed. And then I build up to where people are doing, say, like 3 by 5 minutes fast on a downhill. I mean, sometimes if people run a race like UTMB or Hard Rock where there are hour-long descents, we're going to do some longer reps. But or maybe they'll do like a power hour in a long run, or maybe they've got a 4-hour run and they do a 30-minute warm up and then they run an hour at kind of like more like a marathon to 50K effort where like they're really attacking the downhills. So they might get some prolonged downhill work, but it's getting a few of those just like hard interval sessions and then they hype back up. And comments I get in training logs all the time are like, wow, that was a sneaky way to get a lot of burden too. because they're getting like they got to go back up the hill.
Yeah, yeah.
The uphill is their recovery.
Yeah, recovery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. No, that's good.
And then I might build up to having more like technical stuff mixed in too, to be like, okay,
Right.
you're getting really efficient at downhills. Let's start throwing in a little tougher terrain. Or like I have a lot of runners who, they get pretty skilled at going fast downhill, but then you get them on really technical terrain and they're just like they don't have the proprioception to move their feet fast.
Yeah.
And so we start working on some more aggressive downhill running on technical trail. And that's more specific to like what kind of races are they doing and getting them ready for that. But that's like another nuance to it, depending upon what their goals are.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the interesting things compared to road is there's nuances in road coaching for like marathon, half marathon, etc. But I think what like you're highlighting here is the nuances in trail are very highly like target race specific almost, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of variables in trail running that you don't have in road running, which I mean it's a fun challenge as a runner and a coach, I think, to try and figure it out. But it's there's more pieces to the puzzle often to solve if you want to do really well in a trail race.